think a lot of hunters underestimate water. If you take a hot, dry time of the year and you're deer hunting, finding an isolated patch of water where deer can drink that's near bedding can be huge. It can be night and day from the whole rest of the forest. And you're also going to find your average hunter is not going to cross a river, cross a lake, or wade through deep water to get to bucks that are in isolated patches across that waterway. And those of us who are willing to do the work can get on much better bucks and have much better hunting. Well, if you have isolated water,
Okay.
so where a tree fell over and underneath it you have a hole that has water in it, right? Where the tree fell over, the root ball comes out.
Right.
If that's got water, ain't water around, and it's hot out, and it's close to bedding, deer will go to that. And we've seen that. There was that spot out here,
Yep.
where that tree fell over, and there was a hole there, and all those bucks were going to that spot.
Yeah.
They're going to drink the water, you know. If it's hot, they're going to water.
Yeah. And those areas, I mean, it can vary on year, because like this year we had a lot of rain. So deer could literally go anywhere and get water, even though it was hot there towards the end. But those particularly dry years where it's really hot and you have those spots that hold water can be really good. So.
One good way to access spots where nobody goes is to take boats across lakes, across the uprivers or whatever. You can get them quite a ways with a motorboat and just cut the motor well before you get to where you want. And get into some really remote stuff. You can cross waterways where nobody on foot can get to these spots, and you can really get into some remote and older deer doing that.
Well, talk about the importance of that access, because one guy, you know, some guys might think like, okay, I can still access this spot from the east on land. Why would I ever want to come from the west where I got to get a boat or I got to take a kayak and come in there? What would drive them to do that?
Well, one big reason why you'd want to access some stuff with a boat that you can get to by foot is because of wind direction. So now you can catch those deer by surprise, not just wind direction, but eyesight. Mm-hmm. Those deer that are set up to catch you coming back there, you can come in from a back way they're not expecting.
Right.
Whether they're set up with their nose or they're set up with their eyes.
So normally that scenario where they're not expecting pressure to come from.
Correct.
And getting the wind to your advantage by how you access.
We mentioned earlier that deer like to use water as a barrier to keep safe from predators, to keep safe from hunters, and for good escape. You just jump across the river and you're gone, or use the river as a barrier and you come up the river and they go the other way. On the same token, people can use water as a barrier from other people. Knowing where there's a dam that crosses a river, knowing where, you know, bringing along some waders or hiding some waders out there where you can get across deeper water, get beyond where people go. That's all good stuff. In a lot of cases we use boats, we use kayaks, we use canoes to get into places that are more remote, get away from people, cross water obstacles.
Yeah, if you want to.
It's going to be a hard track job. It's just solid lake.
Personally, I like canoes because canoes can be paddled, kept quiet. You don't need a motor. You're not clanking with oars. You can just smoothly get into places.
I just canoed a couple miles into a remote island. It was a lot harder getting back here than I thought it was going to be. It's going to be hell getting out of here after dark.
Kayaks are nice, and they're nice to get up little tight areas, and they're probably a little more navigatable than a canoe, but it's hard to get your equipment back. They're a little more dangerous, especially in cold weather, and it's hard to get a deer out. In the places I have used them successfully, I've had small blow-up rafts that I keep with me in a package like this, and I can blow that raft up and put a deer in it if I get a deer to pull out. You got to remember though, if you're using boats or canoes or kayaks, in the fall and in the winter in the North Woods, a lot of times the water can be really cold, and being miles from a road and getting soaked can be hazardous to your life. I can remember one situation where I went in the morning and hunted an island, and I was with another guy, and I dropped him off at one island, I went to another one, and the only way out was a canoe. The only way in was a canoe. And we got in smoothly, no problems. And we hunted till noon. And I went to the canoe, and the temperature had dropped rapidly after we got out there. There was a cold front that came through, which is why we wanted to hunt that morning. But what I didn't realize is it was going to freeze up that river. There was actually this much ice on the river that wasn't there when we went out there. And it was really hard to get out of there, and we almost capsized a couple times trying to break the ice in front of the canoe. You couldn't walk on the ice, but you couldn't just canoe through it either. So one of us had to smash the ice in front of the canoe while the other oared. It was a little scary. Thanks for watching. We have a lot more of the Big Woods chapters to come, and some of the best ones are still coming. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. See ya.